Oh, Christmas tree, oh, Christmas tree.
I was going to sing a song then as well.
Which one were you going to go for?
We wish you a Merry Doctor Who Christmas special. We wish you a
Merry
Doctor Who
Christmas
Christmas
special. We wish you dreams and a big bag of dreams.
Merry
Hi.
Christmas, everybody.
Hi, everyone. We're not on the couch. Well, we are. We're on the couch.
I am on the couch.
You guys are facing the Christmas tree. Oh, we got it out a special. We didn't. We're recording this on December the 29th. Because what we did in our Doctor Who marathon, not 2 evenings ago, was begin a brand new era for the show.
Yes.
The second Doctor of the modern revival of Doctor Who.
Crazy.
David, 10 inches of pure delight.
He's very small.
This one's 5.5 inches. That's a lie. The action figure range is 5 inches, and then they renamed it 5.5 later, and you can tell that it's all weird, because Capaldi towers over everyone else. The point is, Doctor Who, yay. I'm Chris.
I'm not Chris.
And you're watching Doctor Who Review. For those who are new, hi. This is a video podcast in the most podcast least video-y sense ever. We're on video just in case we feel like doing something, but it's mostly something to stick on in the background and listen to.
Oi, oi.
Oi, oi, Savaloy. Do you know what? We should put the tree lights on a cycle while we talk. Tell everybody what we watched first in today's episode.
We watched the Children in Need special, which was essentially...
Which is called?
What?
Which is called?
I don't know.
Children in Need.
Was that what it was called?
Yeah, it's not got a name.
It's not very imaginative, is it?
Well, it's because it's not an episode. It was...
It's like an introduction, almost. Like a little carry-on from...
2005 started the relationship between BBC Wales and Russell T Davies's team with Julie Gardner and Phil Collinson, Jane Tranter, etc. Began the tradition of them doing something at Children in Need or Comic Relief, some kind of thingy. They didn't really do much with Comic Relief. It was mostly with Children in Need. And what they did was either give a preview clip. Is the tree a bit flat? Lucy's just gestured the tree's a bit flashy. It's
Trigger warning for people that don't like flashy things.
Then why are you watching a video about Doctor Who? It's full of them. They would either show a preview clip of the upcoming Christmas special, or they would show a specially made thingamajig. And in this case, it was a specially made thingamajig. That thingamajig, this is the steelbook, by the way, it's very shiny.
Reflective.
Yeah. The specially made thingamajig in this case is, like you said, it's a sort of postscript to the season finale and a prequel to the Christmas Invasion. Mm-hmm. What happens in Doctor Who Children in Need 2005?
What a name. The Doctor is just regenerated.
Mm-hmm.
And it's essentially him trying to convince Rose that it's him. That it's the Doctor. Because she doesn't believe it at all. And he's trying to figure himself out as well as trying to convince Rose.
He has a mole on his back, right between his shoulder blades. You can feel it. It's all right.
How did you feel that?
He likes the mole. Well, he's getting used to it, isn't he? Like, is it the 11th Doctor sort of make... No, it's the 12th Doctor. The very first thing he says is kidneys. Like, I've got new kidneys. I don't like the colour. And it's like, what? How does he... Because I guess...
I reckon that's a reference to, like, this, I suppose.
Yeah. So the idea that
we'll get to it when we get to it, but that was a bit like, you trying to be funny.
Bias.
Dead air then, sorry about that.
Bias there. So yeah, it's a really nice... It's sort of... I wonder where they shot it. I wonder if they shot it during or after the first, like, full block. Because obviously it was the first thing of Series 2 to be seen, was this 6-ish minute short film in November of 2005. They would have been well underway on the shooting of the show by this point. They would have been a couple blocks in. So I wonder if this was like, if they shot this first, or if they went back to... If anyone knows in the comments, let us know. I wonder if they went back to shoot this after, like, the first block, because he very much feels like his Doctor in a way that you only get a sample of in the Christmas Invasion, and then you get a real feel for by the end of Series 2. It's a lovely idea. Billie Piper, I think, carries it, because she is the audience POV, especially for a young audience who are new to Doctor Who, they'd be like, I don't understand! Well, here's a tiny little introduction to get you used to the idea of it being the same guy, but not. And she does a great job. She does a really, really good job. Any favourite bits that stand out? I like the hopping. Hopping for our lives, remember? Hopping.
I want to see that, really.
Chris Eccleston just hopping around a planet.
I think Billie Piper is really, really good in this. I think she's really good in general, but this kind of highlights it because she's this confident person, and yet you can see it. She is literally holding on to the column because she's so shocked by what she sees.
She thinks it's an invasion. She thinks it's a bad guy, like pulling one over on him.
Stolen the Doctor's identity.
And that bit, he's like, "Do you want me to change back?" She goes, like, without a second's hesitation, she goes, "Yeah." And he's like, "Oh, do you want to leave?" And she's like, "Do you want me to leave?" He's like, "No, well, no, but if you want it," like, it's really awkward and. Also, is this really the first sort of companion we've seen sort of deal with it this way? I mean, Perry had a shock, but she was very much there for him. She understood that, like, the Doctor's changed and something's gone wrong, so I'm going to try and help him. And Mel's just sort of caught up in an adventure when he's different, and she just sort of accepts it eventually, doesn't she?
I think the difference with Perry is that she kind of had to just accept it. Oh, sorry, the dog's fried. That absolutely stinks.
Lovely. That doesn't pick up on camera, but now everyone's going to be thinking about it.
Good grief! What have you eaten? Just what we were feeding you. Anyway, yeah. So I think I don't think you can use Perry really as a.
Oh no, it's not the same experience, but I mean, like, in terms of spending time with the character, really coming to terms with them changing. Like, we get a little bit of it with Tegan and Nyssa, for example.
Do we have anybody that's scared? I can't remember.
I mean, Perry gets pretty damn frightened for what's going on.
I think Perry's just like shook.
Ben and Polly are sort of standoffish. I think what I'm getting at is this is the first time really where a companion has dealt with it the way that you really would if someone you knew just changed completely. If someone you absolutely love, like, either turned out to not be what you thought, or came home after extensive plastic surgery, and you were like, "Whoa!" Like, you just can't you can't make that connection. You're like, "What is? No, that's not you."
I don't think anybody else has reacted this way because I think even Ben and Polly, they. Assume...
Who are you? What are you doing, mate? Oh, girl.
Duchess.
Duchess, yeah.
I think they thought that the Doctor was dead.
Yeah.
And yet he comes back, and it could very logically be a different person.
Yeah.
Whereas the Doctor changed right in front of her, and it terrified her.
Oh yeah, he exploded. Like, the other ones sort of fade magically into a new persona.
Exactly, yeah.
Whereas...
and she's just been through a whole trauma herself.
Yeah, she nearly died about 10 minutes prior.
Having, like, absorbed the TARDIS.
Yeah.
And so she's going through this, and it's like, oh my god, how is she coping? But no, I think she plays it really, really well because she's obviously curious, but scared at the same time.
Kind of like Grace in the TV movie, I suppose.
Yeah, well...
Except without the handsome Byron-esque gentleman following you home.
It was a bit all over the place.
And trying your shoes on.
They had to do it quite quickly.
Yes. And then the regeneration starts to go wrong, which seems to be a tradition. The further into their life the Doctor gets, the regeneration goes absolutely totso.
Askew.
Yeah, and in this case, it's because he needs time. It's like a fifth Doctor sort of thing. He needs longer to regenerate.
He needed that bloody...
Zero cabinet.
Zero cabinet, yeah.
And then we cascade into the first Doctor Who Christmas special.
Christmas special.
Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, guys, but the third story set at Christmas in the TV canon. After the Feast of Stephen from the Daleks' Master Plan. Merry Christmas to all of you at home. God damn it, Bill!
No!
He said he was going to do it. He said he was going to do it. And we can't retake it. The lights are off in 5 minutes. Damn it, Bill!
You can almost hear people going, no!
God damn it, Bill. I'm glad he did it. I'm glad he did it. Imagine being a kid watching that week and that happened. The Doctor turns to the camera and wishes you Merry Christmas. That would have been magical. I completely agree with him doing it. And of course, the Unquiet Dead last series was set at Christmas, but this is the first Christmas special. I'm sure you all know the plot, but basic summation.
Was the Unquiet Dead set at Christmas, or was it just set at winter?
Yeah, set on Christmas Eve in Cardiff.
Oh yeah, because he's reading Christmas carols.
Because he's going home. He's going home literally post haste. He's going with the Royal Mail to get back to London the next day. I love that episode so much.
I know. If
calls me Charlie Boy. The ladies do.
If you're curious as to what we thought of that episode, you can go back and watch our review of that series.
Well, meets 2005 Part 1, I believe it's called. So yeah, Christmas Invasion. Basic summary: the Doctor's regenerating and he needs time to recover. So they go back to the Powell estate. Rose tries to sort of lose herself in the simplicity of Christmas with her mum and Mickey. But Robot Santas rock up because they're here to take opportunity of the alien who's injured, who they could use. And the reason they're there is because they float around space hanging on to pilotfish.
Pilotfish. I was thinking Babelfish, and I was like, no, that's hitchhikers.
Yeah. They float around space, hanging around bigger, scarier threats to take opportunity on the worlds they're headed toward.
Take advantage of, yeah.
As a giant, massive mountain with thrusters appears, blocking an Earth probe of Mars, the Guinevere probe, declares Earth under its control, takes magical control of a third of its people, threatens to kill them, unless the Earth bows down to the might of the Sycorax.
Blood control!
I haven't seen Blood Control for years!
That was a good impression.
His voice in this.
I mean, it was quite high pitched. I think the windows broke.
Well, no, that's the thing, because in Time Crash, skipping ahead to the next children who need special. In that, he talks about like, and your voice kind of squeaky when you get excited. Mine does that too. And it's like, oh yeah, it really does from his first full story. So what is great about the Christmas Invasion? One, its Christmas setting is just that. It's its setting. As a result, it doesn't feel like it's shoehorning Christmas cheer down your throat.
No.
I mean, even the ending has your, stereotypical, it's snowing! And the Doctor reveals, yeah, it's ash.
No, it's actually...
It's the burning remnants of a spaceship and it's...
remnants of the last of its species.
Yeah, well, get back to that at the end. Ask me about that when we're wrapping up. But yeah, so it's... you've got that. But what it does do is it takes the trappings of a Christmas special, or Christmas in general, and uses them in the same way. To me, this feels like the bookend of Series 1. This feels like the bookend of Series 1.
Yeah.
Like, Series 1 is superb, it's brilliant, it's my favourite series of Doctor Who ever. Modern Series 1 is my favourite series of the whole show.
Mm-hmm.
But, when I get to the end, I'm sad it's over. And then I quite happily watch the Christmas Invasion as like a PS, as an epilogue. Because it's set on Earth, Rose is the main character, it prominently features Jackie and Mickey. There are things with plastic faces attacking them in the streets when they're out shopping. Yeah. And it's about household objects and things we see day to day turning on us. It's kind of bookended with Rose.
Yeah, it kind of is.
Father Christmases, instruments that shoot fire and bullets, a Christmas tree that tries to kill them, which is simultaneously goofy and terrifying.
Yeah, that freaks me out, that.
And it looks great as well. Like, as an effect, it looks really, really good. And then leaves that brilliant Looney Tunes-esque hole in the wall where it smashes through and half the wall is shaped like a Christmas tree. Oh, I love it! Remote control, but who's controlling it? One of many quotes that were used to be put inside the toys that came out around Christmas.
Oh God!
That little TARDIS in your office, I got that for Christmas 2005.
Oh really?
You press a button on it when the batteries are in, and it says 10th Doctor quotes, but the Christmas Invasion was the only one that was going to be out around that time. So it's quotes from the Christmas Invasion only.
What did he say?
So one of them is remote control, but who's controlling it? That's one. The other is no second chances, I'm that sort of a man.
Weird.
The other one is Did You Miss Me? And I can't remember what the other one is, but it'll come to me. Someone else.
I'm the Doctor!
So I'm the Doctor, baby! Someone in the chat must have it, surely.
Does it still work? No.
I've not put new the it's got it's like a battery cell, the little watch round one sort of thing. Yeah. So it won't have exploded necessarily by this point, but who knows? It looks good in your office, though. Parked in that little mounted love heart on the wall. Just a little TARDIS just sat in there.
Yeah.
Cheeky little TARDIS. Cheeky little TARDIS. Beep, beep. Cheeky little TARDIS. Beep, beep. So, Rose's main character.
Nobody's going to understand.
And what's great is Mickey's spending the whole time being like, look, he's got to recover. There's nothing you can do for him except make sure he's okay as he recovers. Have a normal Christmas. And it's the continuation of
have a holly jolly Christmas.
Mickey, which is sort of tragic in retrospect, because in Boomtown he finally comes to sort of terms that she's never coming back. Deal with it. And then when the TARDIS rocks up in Parting of the Ways, like, he's immediately there to make sure she's okay. Like, that's more important to him at that point than having a fight.
Yeah.
Now she's back, and the Doctor's, like, not who the Doctor is or was anymore, and she doesn't know what the future's going to hold for her. Mickey's immediately gone back to being like, no, stick around, come on, stay home, it'd be great. Please.
Taking advantage of her discombobulation.
Well, yeah, but it's also
not
sad.
Not in a malicious way.
No, but that's the thing, it's also sad when you realise that he's just desperate for that affection.
Yeah.
After last year, she's palmed him off so much. And it's like, oh, Mickey, mate, you got to move on. Which, beautifully, that arc does go somewhere in Series 2. Which I like. Jackie immediately is in caring mum mode. She also clearly sort of fancies the Doctor a tiny bit again.
Well, you like it.
There is a man in your bedroom. Well, he's in Rose's bedroom, but still. Although Jackie's had a fella over, I can't remember his name now, but there's somebody who's staying over
Clive?
regularly. It's not,
No,
no.
No, that's first.
There's somebody who's staying over regularly enough that he leaves pyjamas and a toothbrush. It's like, oh, well, Jackie Tyler. Well. So yeah, Christmas in the flat. Also, the main plot point, aside from the Doctor slowly recovering, I need a soup, need some paracetamol. God, that scene is so good.
Oh, Jesus, man.
But you get, the main plot, of course, is the Guinevere probe's meant to go to Mars. It gets stopped on the way, and the first message that's delivered back to the human race is an alien threat. Unit are set up at the Tower of London.
Hey.
We meet a major, who we were spending the whole thing going, is he the current brigadier? Is he the current brigadier? And then when he's killed toward the end, Harriet refers to him as the major. And you're like, I guess he's not the current brigadier.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the first full blown like unit are here doing something. We obviously see them in the Slovene two-parter, but like here they are. It's a unit base, and they're working with the teams to figure out what this is all about. They're also with Mr. Llewellyn, the chief scientist of the Guinevere probe, who is sort of one of the more underappreciated characters of this story. He's so sweet, and he feels so guilty. He feels so guilty about what's her name, Sally, getting like bewitched and going to the roof and stuff. And
bewitched.
Yeah,
blood control.
Blood control. So imagine if the TARDIS said that every time he pressed it. Blood control.
Sound like Miss Piggy.
I haven't seen blood control for years, Kermie.
Such a good impression.
Check the battery.
It threw me off.
Oh, Kermie. So.
That's such a good impression.
See this hand? There's a fighting hand. Anyway.
How long have you had this? We've been together for so long. I never knew you could do like a perfect Miss Piggy.
It's because you only want me to whip out my Kermit. Anyway, the point is.
No way, it's fuzzy.
Anyway, I'm going to stop now.
Oh, that's probably so much.
Do you think the Doctor's new hand is called Mr. Bimbo? Anyway, so. Oh, we just lost half the viewers. We also have the Prime Minister getting involved.
Oh, God.
The start of Britain's golden age. Harriet Jones, former MP for Flydale North, just a simple backbencher, now the Prime Minister.
Harriet Jones, Prime Minister.
With the recurring joke still standing that she introduces herself to everyone. And of course, unlike last time, it's like, yep, we know, yeah, go away. This time it's, Harriet Jones, Prime Minister. Yes, I know.
I know who you are.
But I sort of like that because it shows that she's not really changed. And you get the sense that, everything that made her brilliant and wonderful the first time is still there and is obviously helping Britain. But she gets her first real test in this. And ultimately makes what the Doctor considers to be the wrong call. Partially so that we can have a little story arc that goes unmentioned for 3 years and then gets resolved later.
Makes me feel uncomfortable.
That scene.
Yeah.
Partially as well, so that we can introduce Series 2's plot arc.
Mm-hmm.
It was mentioned last series during The Weakest Link, but it's brought to our attention very early on in this that should things get out of hand, she wants Torchwood to prepare an offensive. And you're like, okay. I can't remember her assistant now, but he's wonderful.
Yeah, he is good.
He's great. Proper sort of like adorable. Just one of those characters you like. If he'd have died, I think we all would have kicked off. Because he's just really sweet.
Greg.
And he gets... I'm going to look it up. He gets the best moment in the third act outside of the Doctor's reawakening for me, which is he's reading the translation of the Sycorax the whole time.
Yeah.
So yeah, things you like about the Christmas Invasion, because I think everyone who's watching this has probably seen it. Break it down. Things you love.
I love Billie Piper in this because you can feel the heartbreak that she's feeling. She feels betrayed by the Doctor because she didn't know this was a thing. She didn't know this would happen.
She lost her friend. She's
trying to protect her mum, but also figure out what the hell is going on. And they take refuge in the TARDIS, and that's something...
That absolute helplessness.
Yeah, that's something that I reckon if something had happened to Earth and they had been in there, that would have haunted her for the rest of her life, and she would never have gotten over it.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes you think she must be so desperate to protect her family. Leaves her bloody mum behind, but oh well.
Well, that's... Yeah.
No, that was the TARDIS one.
No, it was the Sycorax.
Oh, Sycorax, yeah.
Zapping him up into the ship.
I'm a bit biased because I love David Tennant. David Tennant was
your doctor, prior to this marathon.
Yeah.
And, hey, he's got 3 seasons and specials to win you back
he
again.
Will always be in my top 3. Always. Always, always, always. Because he's the reason that I like Doctor Who.
Number 3, Tom.
Holy moly, he was the cutest person ever.
He was adorable, wasn't he?
Checked shorts. Strange.
Number 3, Tom. Number 2, David. Number 1, Paddy. Oh,
Yeah,
has Tom been bumped out the 3?
No.
Oh, I was kind of hoping to make you a Chris convert.
Chris Eccleston is wonderful as the Doctor. I only wish he could have been the Doctor longer, but obviously I understand why and what happened. Weird as it sounds, I'm glad he wasn't. Because we've kept...
In terms of content, not in terms of what was going on in his life and everything. I mean, I'm glad he wasn't in terms of his life because he clearly needed change and intervention, but it sort of keeps it special. Like with Paul. Paul is, the one night only, it's one thing, and obviously there's ways to enjoy the Doctor. By the time people are listening to this, Chris's series will probably be out or ready for physical pre-order for Big Finish, but
that's crazy.
Started recording it a couple of weeks ago.
What?
Yeah, he announced it. We're recording this in December, guys. He announced it by posting an Instagram picture of him holding the first script, which clearly says at the top, spoilers, do not show the script to anyone. But it's that baller move of he either didn't realise...
What are you going to do about it?
Or he was like, I don't give a shit. What are they going to do, fire me? So from the reveal, you found out who one of the other characters is called and what the title of the first story is. And it's funny.
That was his middle finger.
And then he went on Lorraine because he was talking about something else. He was doing an...
Is Lorraine still going?
Oh, God, yeah. He was doing an interview from his car, and he parked in a car park in, Acton. Round the corner from Big Finish's recording studios, because obviously they could do distance recording, one person every other booth and this and the other. And he was doing recording with that, and she says she sort of tries to lead that question of would you ever come back maybe or this in that really sort of she never watches it but tries to make the question work kind of way. She's like maybe Doctor Who could change back and you could that kind of thing.
What the hell?
No, exactly. But he cottons on to what she's doing. And he says yeah, I know what you're trying to get at there. When hell freezes over. Is what he says, and then he quickly rethinks to be I'm coming back. I'm doing these audios to sort of be I'm happy to do it, but you won't get me back in the show. And
that's as far as I'll go.
Fair enough, Chris.
I've got my foot in the door, but that's all that's going.
Fair enough. You're still the best Doctor as far as I'm concerned. But
wonderful.
David's definitely David's the superstar. David's the Tom Baker of the modern era.
Yeah, he is.
He's the one that people think of who grew up with it as a show in the 2000s.
Yeah. Yeah, so I love sorry.
Oh no, sorry. I was going to segue into this, but his introduction in this when he wakes up, like he is the Deus Ex Machina. He's the ghost in the machine.
Yeah.
Literally, he's the dead guy who steps out of the machine and saves the day. I don't know if that's intentional or not, but he's a Deus Ex. Everything's screwed, and then the Doctor rocks up and solves the problem immediately. His performance in that scene is so good.
So good.
And it's interesting to see sort of the arrogance of his Doctor. Like, he's a bit of a dick. Which doesn't stick around until after Rose, when he mistreats people or doesn't read people's feelings as much.
But if you think about it this way. When a Doctor regenerates, they're all over the place.
Yeah.
And this is a prime example, he is all over the place. I don't know, you know.
These people, their potential. From the day they arrive on the planet, blinking, step into the sun. There's more to see than can ever be seen. More to do than... Hold on. That's a Lion King.
Sorry, that's a Lion King.
The point still stands, like, the way they just hold on that shot as well.
So he's shouty, he's aggressive, he's funny.
He watches Disney films.
He likes Satsumas. He was saved by a cup of tea. You know,
yes.
It's all
which is what he was clearly trying to say to Jackie. He was just like, give me tea. And the only reason it happens is because Mickey drops it out of panic.
Everybody has tea throughout the episode, and it's like, that's the thing that you need.
Yeah.
The only person that's not got it is you.
Even Harriet Jones, that's wonderful. And she makes Mr. Llewellyn
a cup
of coffee. She says, I haven't got you a coffee yet. And he's like, no. And she's clearly making one for herself, and she just finishes it and hands it over to him. You're like, you just know no Prime Minister would be doing that ever. Harriet is a good egg.
But
that makes the ultimate kind of bad call at the end.
He's all over the place, but it's the people that he's with that change him into who he is.
Yeah.
And that's evident when, obviously we'll get to it, but when Rose leaves, he's not got that figure to keep him in line anymore. He's like,
or as we've discussed before, space girlfriend.
Exactly.
She's not there.
He's all over the place.
He was made for Rose. Which is why he becomes a dick again later on.
Yeah. But I think that's really interesting because that's something that's been throughout the whole series. Is
he's also a big bombastic show off, and he is from his first story.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Like, think about how he behaves in later stories, where he takes those moments to be sort of like, you know, and if I'm clever, and I'm very clever, and all those sorts of moments where he just like takes charge and makes a really big spectacle of it. I mean, Christ, Day of the Doctor, even when he's trying to out the Zygon. That's disguised as Elizabeth I, and he's putting on a show for it. It's like, who's this for?
I know.
Like, who is this for? And even that special makes a whole point of calling him like the hero. Like, that's the nickname for him because he's just big and blustery and you know, I'm the Doctor. I save the universe. I'm the Doctor. I'm a Time Lord. I'm 904 years old. But that one, for example, in Voyage of the Damned, it's like, why are you doing that?
Who are you talking to?
Yeah, well, the camera. But it works so well in this, and it's great because he reveals that the blood control is blood control.
Blood control.
It's not a magical spell. It's, what he calls it? It's cheap bit of voodoo. It's like hypnotism. You can hypnotise someone to squat like a chicken and sing like Elvis, but you can't hypnotise them to death. And you realise that everybody walking to the edge of a building was never going to jump.
Yeah.
Ever. Like, the Sycorax was expecting the compassion and the panic of whoever was, you know, Earth's champion, Earth's leader, in this case Harriet Jones, to overtake them and be like, yes, take half the people into slavery, just that way everyone will live. But half of them will become slaves, but at least they'll live. It's like, that was the only outcome. But then he does the whole thing of like, we'll summon the Armada and take the world by force. And you're like, oh, shoot. This story gets a sequel, kind of, in the Doctor Who magazine comic. There is a comic book story where effectively the real leaders and warriors of the Sycorax's main home planet, namely the female of the species, return
more deadly than the male.
To wreak like violent revenge and murder against the human race for killing their scavengers, their menfolk. They're like, how chuffing dare you? How ducking fare you? They rock up to kill basically the planet and as a revenge thing, because it's like we sent them out to do the dirty work, and you killed them, and some of them were husbands, some of them were sons that were going to murder you all. It's like, oh, okay. I'm assuming during that adventure, the 10th Doctor steals a Sycorax helmet of some kind, because otherwise, how the hell does he have it in that chest in the Shakespeare Code if this ship gets blown up? Because this ship gets blown up.
It does.
It gets exploded by a alien tech weapon harnessed by Torchwood. As we'll learn by the end of the series, Torchwood 1, based in Canary Wharf, for the ones behind it. Because Harriet makes the call of, the Doctor's, ritual combat to fight them off. His stipulation is, go back out into the stars, you leave this planet alone, and if anyone ever asks about it, you tell them it's defended. I'll leave it at that. And Harriet makes the call when Torchwood are ready to strike to blow it up, because she's like, that's the thing. You're not always... And that's kind of... You get her reasoning. All story, she's been trying to get hold of the Doctor. She even uses an emergency broadcast to say to people, if you know where he is, tell him we need him. And it makes you wonder how many companions who are living on Earth saw that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, oh God, I didn't even think of that.
Like, is Sarah Jane sat in Ealing watching her TV going like, oh my God.
Is Joe in the middle of the jungle like, oh.
Well, probably not getting reception. It was... The story is set in 2006, so she's probably not getting very much reception at all. On her portable TV with an aerial. But,
I love Joe. Anyway.
But that's what I mean. It's like, she gets that desperate, and he only rocks up at the last minute, and that obviously motivates to be like, no, we can't let them go out there and tell people about us. Even if it is to say, like, it's defended, because what's to say the next lot won't see that as a challenge, or bring more, more force, more troops, more weapons. And I love that effectively the end of her prime ministerial reign begins kind of the same way that Thatcher's ended.
Prime ministerial reign?
Yeah.
That sounds horrifying.
Well, it sort of ends the way Thatcher's ended, with the notion of like, oh, she looks knackered. She looks exhausted.
Isn't that
she thinks she's up for the job
horrible?
anymore.
Nobody says that about male ministers.
I mean, I do all the time. Boris looks like a beaten bag of meat.
Boris looks like a muppet that's been in the loft for ages in a damp bag.
Where was I going with this? Oh yeah, so because he said he whispers into the aid of Alex, according to the credits. Don't you think she looks tired? And that just obviously starts a chain reaction, because clearly at some point he mentions it to someone like, she does look a bit stressed, or whatever, and that just snowballs.
Well, no wonder she's tired. She's not slept.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. It's like early Christmas morning, and by Christmas evening, when the news is on, she's being grilled by the press about whether or not she's fit for the job. So the Doctor, topples Harriet's term effectively. Like, he puts doubt in the public's mind, which of course then leads to her being outvoted, her party being outvoted in the next election, which in this story you realise is because he's just like, yeah, no, she can't be in charge. If this is the call she's making, I can't let this happen. But it means he changes time. How? Find out in Series 3, boys and girls. And find out who ran against her and won. Because he created a power vacuum that someone else takes advantage of. Russell, you freaking genius madman! Anyway.
Genius.
But Penelope Wilton is wonderful, and it is sad to think that this is the last for her until, of course, we get one more dose of Harriet Jones a few years down the line.
Yeah.
And what must have been a wonderful evening of filming. We just need you for an hour. Just sit in this room and sit at a computer. We'll film you for a bit. So, what else? Pyjamas, very Arthur Dent. Further confirming that the connections to Hitchhikers still exist, regardless of whether or not they make sense anymore. But they're there. What else? The pilot fish are great. I love that idea. There's...
I like that you don't see what they look like.
Yeah. And we get to see what they look like next year, in the next Christmas special.
Who?
Yeah, they come back. The pilot fish appear in this story and The Runaway Bride. But in that, their Santa disguises are a lot more cartoonish. They're not metal-plated sort of tin things. They've got bigger, cartoonier heads. Yeah, you'll see. Because what do we have in this one? We have a killer Christmas tree.
Yeah.
What shows up in The Runaway Bride?
Killer...
Floating, exploding baubles.
Right.
So
Is
yeah.
that set at Christmas?
Yeah, the Runaway Bride set. It's a Christmas wedding.
God.
But we'll get to that in a few weeks for you guys. A bit longer. We'll get to it in like a week and a half's time. No one knows. We're going to fly through series 2. I really love the Christmas Invasion.
because I really like this series.
I really love the Christmas Invasion. I adore it. It's
one of those
probably,
that you've seen so many times, but you always enjoy it. There's always something to enjoy about it.
Prior to this marathon, because things could change, it's my joint favourite Christmas special. I think it's the better of the two that I like.
Which one?
The other one is A Christmas Carol. The first 11th Doctor one with
When You're Alone.
with Catherine Jenkinson and
that's a really good
Catherine Jenkins and Michael Gambon. I love that one.
That's like
it suits
proper Christmas.
Like how this one fits series. This one feels like an epilogue to series 1. That one very much feels like an epilogue to series 5. Like it's very fairy tale and magical and just full of whimsy, and the science fiction takes a back seat to just fantasy tropes. Like, the fish floating through the air and...
around the lights.
And, the Christmas Carol being co-opted by the Doctor, who just thinks of that idea and then decides to really screw around with time in an effort to change Kazran and everything. But anyway, yeah, I love this one a lot. I love the Christmas setting and the fact that it isn't about Christmas, it just happens to be happening on Christmas.
Yeah.
Which also made the costume department spend less money, I suppose, when it came to... So we're going to have, like, upwards of 200 extras in this, because we're going to have several shots of people, like, walking onto rooftops. Oh, God, right, we need to get all those costumes. Yeah, sure, but they all just need wearing gym jams. So just pop down to Primark and pick up a load of gym jams for, like, £3 each, and that should do the trick.
Imagine if he'd said, go pick up a load of gym jams.
Pick up some gym jams.
Jambles. Go get some jambles.
Just really funny. When the last time I was at BBC Wales doing behind the scenes thing, I went past sort of like the wardrobe area for Doctor Who, and it wasn't like the one that's in constant use. It was obviously like the storage kind of area.
One in the TARDIS?
What?
Was it like the one in the TARDIS, just like...
No, just spiral staircase like in this. That's a great design, and it's also like, hang on, do all the rooms look like this?
How far down does it go? Could you fall off? Yeah.
With two of Tom's scarves making a cameo appearance. But no, there was a costume rail. It wasn't like the stuff that was obviously being used. It was stuff out of the way. There's these storage areas around the main studios at Roth Lock, like these corridors with extra caged off bits. Think of that bit in the Inside Number 9 Halloween special, where Reese goes and sees the fake severed head and everything, and Steve gets electrocuted. Like sort of areas like that, where it's just these cages and workbenches and stuff stored to one side.
It's great.
Line the studios. It's so good, isn't it? In one of them was a massive costume rail, and along it I could see the clerics' uniforms from Series 5. The Angels two-parter, like Ian Glenn's character. So all these the beige and khaki like style camo uniforms, the army uniforms. There was just a boatload of them together, and I was like, "Oh, that's the clerics! It's all the soldiers from the Weeping Angel story." Okay, fair enough. But now I'm wondering whether or not there's a clothes rail somewhere in BBC Wales just filled with 15-year-old gym jams. Gym jams! We've got 250 pairs of pyjamas. Put them in the gym jam drawer.
That's a big drawer.
Now, on Christmas Day 2005, it wasn't the only bit of Doctor Who people had access to. If they pressed the red button, they could be in their very own adventure. So technically the first full-length 10th Doctor adventure with him in costume and in character. On the red buton. And if one were to play said adventure correctly, it's about 15 minutes long. We are talking about Attack of the Graske. It is available to watch on YouTube. It used to be available on the Doctor Who site. It might be available if you use like the little time warp thing that takes you back to the earlier version of the website. I don't know if that still exists as of this video going up. So, after Matt Smith's era began, do you remember the Doctor Who website was probably somewhere people visited at least once a week just to check on a new game or a feature?
I used to play the games on it,
Yeah, when Matt Smith took over the website, a redesign and went down the new logo route and dark blue, cloudy look and the lightning and all that kind of stuff. And they'd have, with each new episode, there was like monster profiles that show up or character profiles. So every week there'd be like 2 or 3 new character profiles in the activity section and stuff. And there was sometimes a new game. And it was great. But they also had a button on the homepage that took you back to the quote-unquote classic site, which was basically a time-capsuled version of the Russell era version. So you could use that and navigate the old games and find all the old stuff. And there's always been a classic Doctor Who site on BBC's web pages, the BBC Two one or BBC Cult, whatever it was called, where you could like learn about all the old stories and watch clips and listen to some of the audios and flash things and whatnot. So by that point, there was 3 versions of a Doctor Who website through the BBC. You could play Attack of the Graske on there as well for a time. I don't know if it's still out there, but what we did was we watched the winning version on YouTube. Several uploads of it exist, but one of them is like what happens when you make all the correct choices.
Yeah.
That way, we could watch it as an episode of it in its own right. So we did after we watched Christmas Invasion. I played this at the time on the red button. I had a blast. It was a lot of fun on my little blue VHS TV in my bedroom, my mum's, and you'd see this was the first you'd not only seen but heard of it the other night. Could you explain to us loosely what the plot of Attack of the Graske is? Ooh.
Something's going on.
Great. That's the plot of every episode.
You know,
there's something going on. Something's wrong.
You're helping the Doctor figure out what's going on in this situation.
Well, people are acting strangely.
I can't remember how it starts.
People are acting strangely, and the Doctor finds out that there are people being replaced. It starts with you being invited onto the TARDIS by the Doctor. He's dropped Rose off at an ABBA concert, which, based on his reaction, he hates ABBA. Best Doctor ever. So, but like thank you, Minnie. He's noticed something's up. It's like to do with energy signatures or whatnot. And you realise after finding somebody whose eyes look weird and strange. I've already done it. Lucy's like, put the dog in front of the camera. I did it before. She hated it. You can have a reindeer. Woo! Christmas time. Woo! Anyway. You realise that a family member's been replaced, and then you see them getting replaced. The next person getting replaced as well. Like the mum was replaced and the dad's replaced because their eyes are different and weird. And you realise,
goosebumps eyes.
Yeah, they're getting goosebumps. Title sequence eyes, exactly. That dog's got glowy eyes. That billboard of a woman is sad now. But we see this little fella, the Graske, rocks up and is zapping him away. Effectively, what the Graske is doing, it's been sent by its home planet to slowly replace the population of Earth. This is what they do to other planets, apparently, is they replace it with a population that's either part Graske, or, I mean, their eyes are different, so I guess not. It's like people that are under their control, or like they're repopulating it with another species that are disguised as the original or whatever. It's an invasion of the body snatchers, basically.
Yeah.
But this alien shows up, zaps people. The original them gets taken to a refrigeration unit, basically, on the Graske's home planet. Like, they get frozen, suspended animation.
A bit like Noah's Ark. They've got like...
Yeah, well, a bit like Christmas Carol, the Doctor Who story, funnily enough. And, and it's a slow invasion. So you go with the Doctor and you use your remote control, which has been imbued with the powers of the sonic screwdriver, to identify imposters in modern Britain, in Victorian times, on a street corner. You spot the Graske, you see it take another person.
As a nearly 30-year-old woman, I got very involved.
Yeah, we weren't playing it, we were watching it, but you still lifted up your phone as though your phone were being imbued with the powers of the sonic screwdriver, which was very cute.
It was quite engaging.
Yes. And then got zappy zapped, and then we go to the Graske's home planet, and it's really weird because David Tennant keeps calling it it's an alien called the Graske. And you're like, wouldn't you in your Estuary accent go, it's an alien called the Graske? That's really weird. And now I can't decide whether or not it was a deliberate choice because, like, I don't know, for the writing or whatever, it was like, it's pronounced Graske, and we can make a point of that.
It's pronounced
Or whether or
Graske.
not David just cocked up the pronunciation.
Well,
Either
David-
way, we can compare it because it rocks up in Sarah Jane Adventures stories, and everyone calls it a Graske or a Graske based on their accent. So.
Well, David Tennant can do no wrong, so it's.
Have you seen Postman Pat the movie? Have you seen Postman Pat the movie?
Have you?
No.
Well, then shut up.
I'm gonna get that postman. Anyway, that's him in it. That's him in it.
Villain in the Postman Pat movie.
Yeah, I guess what the plot of the movie is.
He can't deliver post.
No, there's robot posties.
Oh, for God's sake.
But the main plot is Postman Pat enters a talent competition judged by, have a freaking guess, voicing himself and playing himself, Simon Bloody Cowell.
Flipping Cowell.
Who has more cameos in animated movies than any other real life person, and that's disturbing. Anyway,
Talent competition.
it's so weird. Yeah.
That's so stupid.
And it's like, and Ronan Keating is the singing voice. I don't think it is Ronan Keating is the singing voice. It might be. I don't know. The point
Who's
is.
the voice of Postman Pat?
Oh God, the guy who was in. I think it's Stephen Mangan. You know, from the BBC Dirk Gently and Green Wing and stuff like that. I don't know. Oh God, we need to watch Green Wing.
I've seen one episode now.
We need to watch Green Wing. It's great. Anyway, point is, Attack of the Graske is a fun little distraction. Imagine being a kid playing that on Christmas Day.
Yeah,
I was 14 and I thought it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'd absolutely love it.
For those who don't know, the red button is a bit like it was a bit like CFAX.
CFAX.
For those who don't know, CFAX is a bit like if your calculator tried to get too big for its boots.
And you could get holiday deals.
But was just as impressive.
You could get a holiday trip to Benidorm.
Yes, you can. And with
Have
that,
a little palm tree in the corner.
and with that, we need to take a trip because I've got to go record a podcast now. But you, sirs and madams,
That's a bit insensitive because we can't take a trip because
what do you?
there's a
Well, we
pandemic.
don't know. When this comes out, maybe we can. What think you of the Christmas Invasion? Do you enjoy it? Is it your favourite Doctor Who Christmas special? What is your favourite Doctor Who Christmas special? And what are your predictions for our next video, where we will be visiting New Earth, Tooth and Claw, and what's the third one? Oh, School Reunion.
Mm.
We'll see you soon. I'm Chris.
No, I'm not Chris.
And bye, Kermie.
Goodbye.
Love letters here.